If an SCP-3 is not in your budget for oXigen racing, you can save quite a bit of money and get a more basic controller by purchasing the Scalextric ARC Air / Pro controller. In fact, this is an Air controller from the original set that didn't have a button for lane changing, and I added a button later on. The electronics were already in there, I just had to add the button. But this is only a $30, about $30 depending on where you buy it from, controller. Takes 2 AA batteries, has brakes, lane change, and throttle. That's all you really need. But as it comes in the box, it's not prepared for oXigen racing. It's designed to connect to the Scalextric ARC Air and ARC Pro power bases. But it's the same technology as oXigen, and slot.it has provided firmware that you can install into these controllers so that they can be oXigen controllers. So I'm going to show you how to install the firmware, as well as how to pair it to an oXigen shipped car. So the first thing we want to do is download the Nordic Semiconductor NRF Toolbox app. I've used this in other videos, but you can go to your Apple Play Store or your Google Play Store and download NRF Toolbox. And it has that logo, so look for that logo. And we're going to get ready for the firmware update process before we get the controller ready. So we're going to run the NRF Toolbox, and we want to use Dfu. So we tap on Dfu, and then we have to choose the file. And the default distribution packet is the type of file we want to use, so just tap OK. And then I've already downloaded these files from the slot.it website, so before you do this, just like you download the app ahead of time, go to slot.it for slot.it's website and go to the firmware section and download the ARC O2 hand controller firmware. And I believe it is labeled, where is it? Here we go, O2 ARC HC for hand controller. And then we have different versions. It looks like the most recent one is 3.10, released on April 24th of 2020. So we're going to tap that to tell NRF Toolbox that's the one we want to install. And when it says select scope, leave that set to all and tap OK. So now the file has already been selected. The next step of the process is selecting the device. Before we can do that, we got to get the controller into Dfu mode. So I'll set my phone down. To get the controller into Dfu mode, we hold the brake button while the controller is off, and then we turn it on, and it vibrates and the light flashes. The next step is that we hold the brake button and then pull the trigger, and it vibrates and the lights flash again. When it's all done vibrating, just let go, and now it should appear in the select device screen. So we tap select device, we scroll and look under available devices, and there it is, Dfu ARC HC for hand controller. So we tap on that device. So the device is selected. The last thing to do is tap upload, and it's starting Dfu, uploading, and done. Now that's done. We don't even need the app anymore, but we want to turn the controller off. And now we're going to pair it to this car I have over here. It's currently on the track, but it's on a dead area because I'm going to push it into the live area to get it into pairing mode. That's basically giving power to the car, to the chip, so that it's ready to be paired. So to get the controller into pairing mode, part of the process is telling the controller we're in pairing mode, but then also telling it which ID to set to. And since we don't have any dials or anything, we got to use the buttons. So to put the controller into pairing mode, we turn it on, and then we press and hold both the lane change and the brake button. I usually do it with my thumb like this. Press that button first, and then that button. And then we wait for the light to brighten and then dim. And then we can push the brake button as many times as we need to for the ID we want to use. So if we push it 5 times, we'll get ID number 5. Okay? And then when we're ready to actually do the final pairing, after we've told it what ID we're going to use, we press and hold those two buttons again, and then pull the trigger when the car is ready to be paired to. So I'm going to start the process, and then we're going to get the car ready to be paired, and then I'll do the final pairing. So remember, to start the process, we need the controller to be on, and then we press and hold both these buttons for a few seconds. The light brightens and then goes off. Now we're ready to set the ID. So I'm going to press it, let's say, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the controller is ready to pair to the next pair ready car when I press and hold those two buttons and pull the trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and put the car into the powered section. Press and hold those and pull the trigger. It vibrates in my hand, and then it's done. And now we can see the light flash to indicate that it's paired to that car. So I'll do that one more time. Again, once we got the firmware installed, we never have to do that again. To pair to a car, and I could do this with, I'll go ahead and do it with a different car. And just to show that it doesn't work with this car right now, it's not paired with that car. So I'm going to pair it to that car. I'm going to take the car off power. Again, press these two buttons, and then wait until the light flashes, and I think there's a vibration as well. Nope, just the light. And then 1, 2, 3 we'll go with. And then again, both buttons and the trigger. And then we put the car on the power. Controller vibrates to let us know it's done. And then let's try turning it off and back on. There we go. Depending on the chip and how it communicates, you might have to turn the controller off and back on. But it's ready to go. Alright, so you can have a dozen of these controllers for a lot less than a dozen SCP controllers. But you also don't get adjustable brakes and adjustable throttle levels and directional lane change options and things like that comes with the full oXigen controller. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments or reply to this post or whatever. And feel free to private message me or email me anytime. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good day.